We have before us tonight some interviews for the Charter Review Committee. And we first have Kara Ann Winslow. She's here. If you could please come forward and just introduce yourself for the public.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Kara Ann Winslow. I reside at 7 Peaceful Lane in East Wareham.
Okay. And what we've done with all the candidates so far, I think we'll, unfortunately, Marilyn Donahue, because she's on the Finance Committee, can't also serve on the Charter Review. So we'll have 5 tonight. We have, I think, 5 next week, and we had 5 the previous time. So there's a pretty good amount of applicants. Typically what we've done is we've gone down the line and asked roughly the same question to each candidate. So that's what we'll do. And we're not making a decision tonight. We want to go through everyone, interview everyone, and then make a decision on how we want to form the committee. So that's for everyone that's in attendance tonight. So I start with Selectman Extra.
Keeping with my tradition, I have no questions.
No comments. No questions. Okay. I know that Selectman Donahue isn't here. She had asked what made you decide to apply for the Charter Review Committee.
Well, I work with a number of different municipal governments under a number of different charters, so I have a great deal of knowledge about charters, about different types of charters, about changes, implementing changes. I think I bring a wealth of knowledge to the table in that regard.
Okay. And I'll come back to mine at the end. Selectman Savageau?
No.
Selectman Cronin?
Well, I just had one question, so I'll ask you pretty much the same. Hopefully I word it the same. Do you think the charter is outdated?
I think that it's important that a complete and responsible review of the charter be done with this committee. I've read the charter. I do think that there are some things that need to be clarified, but that's just my opinion, and I think it's important that a group of people get together and thoroughly look through it and make a responsible recommendation. It's really hard to answer that question one way or another.
Okay, and then what I have is, since you've read the charter, what do you think the most glaring issue is that you can think of off the top of your mind in the charter?
Well, I think the issue that comes up most, Mr. Chairman, is this issue of clarifying the day-to-day operations, and other communities do clarify that, so I would definitely, that would be something I would want to do. I think that would be really important to clarify exactly what that means.
Okay. All right. Nobody else had anything further? Okay. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. As I said, Marilyn Donahue approached me and said that she wouldn't be able to serve on the Charter Review now that she's on Finance. So next we have Peter Baum.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Peter Baum. I live in Onset.
All right. Selectman Ekstrom? No questions. Okay. Selectman Donahue's, what made you wish to apply for the Charter Review Committee?
Well, I think I first noticed that there was some problems with the charter. Maybe it was a couple years ago when, I think you'll remember, there was a difficulty in trying to determine who was supposed to submit the budget to the town. There was a budget from the Board of Selectmen, and there was a budget from the Finance Committee, and there was some disagreement about who should submit it, and the moderator got involved, and there was a big fuss. And the Finance Committee ended up quitting from for most of them anyway, as a result. And I began thinking about that. I think at that time thinking, well, geez, if the charter should explain what should how that should proceed. So I think that's when I first noticed that there were problems. And then my background is more in the sciences and mathematics. That's where my advanced degrees are. And I've always tried to apply some of those skills and attitudes in trying to solve civic problems. So I thought that there was an opportunity then with the charter to try to maybe with applying some of the analytical tools, system analysis and system design that could help in clarifying the charter and maybe designing something that would work better.
Okay. Selectman Savage.
I think the case that you're talking about, or you were referencing, is actually a prime example of the charter being fairly clear on exactly what the protocol is. And I think it was an example of when a group of people want to ignore that, the turmoil that can result as a result of not following the charter clearly. My question is, first of all, have you read the charter?
Yes, sir.
And based on what you've read, what would you say are the most glaring issues that you would want to address, and any substantial changes you'd want to make immediately?
Well, I think I would hesitate describing exactly what I thought was wrong with the charter, because I think one of the things that I could bring to the committee is the attitude that before trying to make any decisions about what's wrong or how to fix it, to try to get as much information as one possibly can by asking the people that are involved, which would obviously involve the Board of Selectmen and the town administrator and people, the heads of the department, to try to find out some of the things that have gone wrong. Of course, it's hard to live in this town without having some opinion about where some of the problems lie, but I think that attitude is something that I found interesting if you've ever served on jury duty and looked at that video that they show in the beginning. They recommend that a straw vote not be taken, but that you simply listen to the evidence first. And I think the reason for that is that if you jump ahead and say, oh, I think this is something that's wrong with the charter, I should change this or that, then it's very hard, just human nature being what it is, to go back and change your mind about that. So obviously there are things that I think are wrong with the charter, but I would hesitate answering that directly. I can say, though, that I think that in terms of the things that could be done, to answer the second part of your question, Selectman Savageau, I think there are limits to the scope of what the Charter Review Committee could do, and those limitations are based on the oath of office that would be taken, which requires that actually it might be helpful, I have a printout of the oath of office and the Massachusetts General Law 43B, Section 10, which is relevant to this. If you'd like, it might be easier to follow along if I gave you that to read. It's up to you.
Let me ask you this way. What do you think the purpose of a charter is? And after reading the Wareham Charter, if you don't want to talk about what you would change, can you talk to us about what you find to be the strength of this charter currently?
I think it'd probably be easier to explain what the weaknesses of the charter are. Would that be satisfactory?
Well, that was my question originally. But
okay.
If you want to.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think that the deficiencies really fall into several categories. One is just on the basic level of proper grammar, using proper punctuation, using words correctly. I think it's clearly deficient in